Immigration has been a hot topic for many people in Canada, especially during the pandemic. And now the new data from IRCC shows that Canada has a backlog of nearly 1.8 million immigration applications. I chatted exclusively with Canadian immigration lawyer Shafoli Kapur to know more about the situation. The new data from IRCC shows that Canada has a backlog of nearly 1.8 million immigration applications, and the wait time for visa approvals are taking longer than ever. So, what do you think the scenario looks like for students and workers who are sitting in their respective countries and waiting for their visa?
There has been a lot of frustration, among students. I personally feel that student visas are still being processed, but permanent resident applications, especially for federal skilled worker under the under the Express Entry system, as well as the spouse open work permit applications are heavily impacted. And when I say heavily impacted, we're talking about applications that have been in process since 2019. I personally have clients who've been waiting since the since the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020 who are waiting for their PR applications to be processed. And I also have a huge amount of spousal open work permit applications based on international students in Canada and workers in Canada whose spouses are in their home countries and the applications are not being processed. The frustration levels are very high. I've also come to, experience and notice that many of these applications that are in process, especially the spousal open work permit applications, are the decision on those applications ultimately is coming as negative. And the reason is that a lot has changed in this 18-20 months. And what has changed is, I'll give you an example. For example, a person who's applied for a spousal open work permit based on their spouse in Canada who's a student, IRCC is if they pick up the application now, 18 months later, that individual is probably towards the end of that program of study. That means their spouse is not eligible for the spouse open work permit anymore, because you need a certain amount on your study permit. Although it's not a requirement of the program, but we've seen IRCC officers refusing applications on those grounds that the spouse, the international student spouse in Canada, doesn't have enough time left on their course. So, their spouse is not eligible for a spouse open work permit. So we have seen, there's a saying in immigration, or in law actually, that delayed justice is delayed decision is delayed justice. And that's exactly what is happening with the applicants from all over the world right now. Because the applications are not being processed, justice is being denied to them because they're not even eligible for those programs. I had a client who I submitted an application for in March 2020. Their spouse became a permanent resident in Canada now. So they're actually not even eligible for that open work permit anymore. So things have really changed over the year. In these 18 months, people's situations have changed. Some people were in a knock B position that was a requirement for a spouse open work permit, but now they don't have that job because they've lost that job. And when immigration actually picks up that application, they don't feel that that person is eligible, so they refuse the application. So there are a lot of wrong decisions also that are coming because of the delayed processing.
Mm-hmm. So as you just mentioned that, of course, the delay has been there, but in spite of such delays, Canada has been ranked as top nation for immigration and investment, according to a report by Nation Brands Index 2021. What, according to you, are the factors that makes Canada such a desirable place when it comes to immigration?
I'm going to be very raw and very brutally honest here, okay? And I am very popular for being brutally honest. People from outside Canada, especially underdeveloping countries, they just want a better future, right? They want a better future in the sense they want better lifestyle, they want better education for their children, they want better opportunities to earn more money, to have a good lifestyle and everything, right? So Canada definitely gives all of that, right? We have a good education system. There's free education for children. It's a safe country. It's obviously the the quality of living is absolutely wonderful, especially as compared to developing countries. So people outside Canada only consider those factors. We all know Canada needs people. That's a fact. Canada has an aging population. So Canada will, and because of their easy and liberal immigration policies, people outside Canada or all over the world obviously keep Canada at number one spot, because they know, one, Canada has liberal immigration policies. There are so many programs. I mean, as we speak right now, there are almost 80 to 90 programs under which one can come to Canada, depending on their background, eligibility, education, language abilities, and everything. And then on top of that, obviously, I mean, Canada is a beautiful country. It's a great country to, to live in, to grow your family in. It's secure, it's safe. So it'll always remain on that top list for immigrants, potential immigrants. And I don't foresee the immigration policies getting any difficult, at least for the next 5 years, because Canada desperately needs people, especially now after COVID, because one, we've lost a lot of people. Two, I mean, Canada has given out so much money. They need to recover on those costs, right? In the last 2 years, the amount of money that they've given out in various benefits, they boom on immigration, right? Immigration is their major source of revenue. It's it's on which the economy thrives. So immigration is not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. So, let's talk about the changes in the Canadian immigration system. I read that the Canadian immigration is making major changes to the NOC in 2022, and a new system called TEER is coming into play. So what is this system and why is it important?
All right. So, the changes. So what happens is every 10 years, ESTC has a mandate that they need to do their research on the new NOC codes, on the new occupations, that are out there. As we know that, I mean, a decade is a very long period. As the economy evolves, as the world evolves, as the job industry evolves, we've seen that there are many new positions that come into into the industry. Giving you an example, we've seen over the last couple of years, social media has really become extremely big amongst the new generation, and even, I mean, all generations, I would say. So there are many positions within social media that were not there 10 years ago. Right? For example, I'll give you an example, and I love to talk with examples like TikTok. So, or for Instagram Reels, right? There is a specific position for moderators, content reviewers, right? So there are these moderators who will always constantly be on the lookout for content that is not appropriate for their website or for the app. And then as soon as it is reported or flagged, they take it down, right? So that kind of a position was not available before, but now we've seen that there are many new occupations that have come to the surface. As a result, there was a need to add those occupations and give a particular knock to those occupations. If you go find a knock code for a TikTok moderator or a content reviewer, you will not find a knock code. Yeah. So that is why they have to make those constant changes, adapt to the industry and the occupations in the job market, and get those knock codes out. So what they're really doing right now is that they have done a thorough research on what are the kind of jobs that are available. There are some knock codes that are currently clubbed with other knocks, but then they have their own job duties, independent job duties now, that they need a knock code of their own. So they've revamped the entire system based on this education, skills, years of experience, the skill set, and created a different system from what we have right now. So currently we have a 4-digit knock code system, and they've changed it to a 5-digit knock code system based on a tier level, which could be on education, skill set, experience, trades, and all of that. So we are expecting IRCC. So ESDC has already announced the knock codes. So we have the table on the website, but IRCC is expected to implement it sometime in fall of 2022. So we still don't know from IRCC how they're going to implement it. How is it going to affect people? Because there'll be no more knock code O, A, B, C, Ds. There'll be knock code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. So we don't know what knock codes will be, like what digits will be under express entry, what will be considered as skilled, but IRCC is yet to announce those changes, and I would only say that we should all wait until we hear further updates on that from IRCC.
Mm-hmm. And I understand that you have said that we should wait for the updates, but I still want to ask, like, how these changes will impact immigrants and foreign workers.
I personally don't think there'll be a drastic change. It's not going to affect majority, because immigration doesn't work like that, right? Immigration wouldn't, like when we're dealing with the government, they don't make drastic sudden changes. It's going to be a very subtle implementation of this program, and it's not going to be in a way that majority of the people will be impacted. Maybe a small amount of people will be impacted if, you know, the knocks have been moved from, let's say right now we're saying that there's rumors going around that few knocks will be moved from knock B to knock C. I personally don't think so that will happen. Maybe people will have, some of the occupations will have their own knock codes. There'll be change of knock codes for people, but I personally still don't think that ESDC will say that a position that was considered as a skilled knock code before is not a skilled knock code anymore. I don't think so they're going to say that. Maybe they'll add more knock codes to the skilled occupations, but they're not going to suddenly take it out. But again, this is my understanding, logical understanding. It could be different. It could be, I mean, there could be some knocks that will not be eligible for express entry, but again, IRCC has not said anything about it. So I wouldn't want, and this is exactly what I tell all my clients to, don't panic just yet. IRCC will give us enough time to, get adapted to that. They will not suddenly say from tomorrow onwards, we're going to use this knock code system.
Yeah.
And we've also seen a lot of changes, like, I don't know how often do you use the portals, the government portals for immigration, but we've seen that most of these portals have been going major changes. They're always in maintenance and everything. So I am assuming that they're probably bringing up these changes. And then once they've incorporated those changes on the portals, they will then announce that, what are the changes, how is it going to impact people, and when will they start, using that new system, the knock code system. I'm assuming that it should be announced somewhere in the new year.
Oh, okay. So, well, while we are on the knock codes, I want to mention that the data from the government of Canada shows that permanent resident arrival admissions soared in the month of September, and the country saw around 45,000 permanent residents coming in Canada in September, which is like 19% up from the month before. And this represents an increase of 200% compared to a year ago. So what do you have to say on that?
Absolutely. This was expected, right? So starting March 18th, anybody who was not a permanent resident was not allowed to come to Canada, right? Even people who were approved of permanent residence had COPRs, the confirmation of permanent residence in hand, but were not allowed to enter Canada. There were people who were desperately waiting for, especially people who were approved of permanent residence outside Canada, desperately waiting to enter Canada, because this is what they had been waiting for so long. So this was absolutely expected, that as soon as IRCC allows people, so on September 7th, people with, confirmation of permanent residence in hand and permanent residents who had not yet landed in Canada were allowed back. So it was absolutely expected for them to come back. Plus, IRCC also gradually started renewing the expired COPRs of people who had not yet landed. So all of those permanent residents started coming in to complete the landing procedures and to, land as immigrants in Canada. So it was totally expected. And we're only going to see an increase in these numbers going forward, because IRCC is gradually issuing COPRs and PR renewals to people who are outside Canada, who were stuck outside Canada. So we'll only see an increase in number month on month from here on until they've cleared all the backlog.
And there are reports about the coveted TR to PR pathway coming again. Is it true? Because I've been hearing this a lot.
So I personally wouldn't comment on that. If it could come, we don't know. IRCC doesn't disclose anything. I know this rumor started from when our past immigration minister Marco Mendicino announced that he will be contemplate, like he will consider extending the healthcare stream because it had not reached its allocation. And then he also mentioned that if there's another program like this in the future, they will consider including refugee claimants in it. But he never mentioned anywhere in that interview that he will be reopening a similar program. So, as we say that, rumors have wings, it just blew up from there and people started misconstruing what he had said. But there was never an announcement by IRCC or even a hint by IRCC that it's something like that is coming. So I personally don't like to give in into such rumors. I like to wait until an announcement is made by IRCC, because it unnecessarily increases hope for many people.
Yes.
But having said that, while I'm on air, I mean I'm being recorded, I would definitely say my recommendation will always be that keep your documentation ready. You should always have all your paperwork in place, get your IELTS and everything done, because you never know. I mean, this last year has been so unusual, and everything has been so unpredictable that we can expect anything from IRCC. So be prepared. But having said that, I'm assuming that now the borders have opened up, we might see something happening big for maybe FSW applicants, because those people have not been able to come to Canada. Like there have been no draws all of 2021. So plus we have a new immigration minister now. We haven't seen any new updates from the minister yet since he assumed the role, since he assumed power. So we don't know what his outlook towards immigration is. Is he extremely liberal about immigration policies? Is he going to go all out like Marco Mendicino did? Or is he going to be a little bit, he's going to hold back? So we don't know. I think we have to first see a few of his moves in the right direction, and maybe then we'll be able to make those assumptions. But for now, I think we all should just keep our
fingers crossed,
mouth zipped and fingers crossed.
And you mentioned about the SFW Express Entry draws, and I cannot end this interview without asking what you think about it. Like, people have been waiting for it since forever. And what are your guesses on that?
Again, if I say anything, I'll only be fueling to the rumors, because again, there's no concrete information from anywhere. But if I have to make an assumption, I'm thinking that maybe they'll only start doing those draws in the new year. We could expect another one draw for Canadian experience class or two draws for Canadian experience class applicants this year. And then maybe the FSW draws will start happening from next year. And why I say that, I'd like to also say that, is because IRCC already is dealing with a huge amount of backlog, as we've also found out, for applicants who are outside Canada right now. CC applications are being processed very quickly, right? 2 months, anywhere between 40 days to 6 months is an average timeline, I'd say. But people outside Canada, those applications are not being processed, and there's a huge backlog on IRCC. So I am assuming that IRCC would first, and probably that's the right thing to do as well, to first clear off that backlog, right? And if they've cleared off that backlog, and I'm not saying 100% cleared off, but get to a point where it's manageable. Right now, it's like, I don't even know how they're dealing with so many files and all that, the negativity that they're getting, the backlash they're getting from everywhere, from all corners, right? So I think they need to first figure out, and that's what I think. They would first clear off all the backlog, majority of it, and then they would start doing the FSW draws, which could be anywhere in the beginning of the new year. That's my assumption. I could be totally wrong, but that's what I think would happen.
And finally, Shafoli, what advice would you want to give to our viewers who are gearing up for PR applications, any kind of stream, but what would be your advice?
So my advice would be, just keep your documentation ready, keep at it, get into the express entry pool if you're eligible, get your IELTS and everything done as soon as you graduate, as soon as you've completed your experience. There's absolutely no need to wait that you'll do it, because we've seen in the last year, all those people who were, delaying these things and who were procrastinating, they all suffered at the end of the day, couldn't apply for TR to PR or whatever. So absolutely get those things moving, get those things done, keep your documentation ready. have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, and just keep doing your job. And another big thing that I tell all my clients, and I'm going to tell all your viewers as well, PR is not your ultimate goal. That is your short-term goal. So yes, that is your fast, that is your first next goal to achieve, but then don't make this as the ultimate thing for you. Also work towards your career, your, make the right choices, don't get into trouble. Look at all of those things. And yeah, keep at it, keep working towards your goals. And I wish you all good luck. And I hope everybody gets to live their Canadian dream soon.
Thank you, Shafoli, for talking to us and taking out your time and giving this wonderful insight on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Pragya.